Hello! Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are doing another review for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 13, episode 4, and the episode's called Hellevator. And Hellevator. And we found out that towards the end of the episode why it was that. It was not too long of an episode, so I'm hoping for once this review will be short. Anyway, though, without further ado, let's get into it. So the episode starts off with like a little mini montage of the women getting glammed up for the day. This is after the breakfast that happened in the last episode. And Dorit's talking to PK over the phone about how things have been going in Vegas so far. And then PK shares that he actually had dinner and the conversation with Mauricio, which is Kyle's husband that she's husband. And because it's been shared, I think, in multiple episodes that you know how close the four of them have been. They're kind of like, they're, how when you're in a couple, you have other couple you hang out with a lot. It's kind of that. Anyway, while this is happening, Kyle's talking to Mauricio over the phone, and Mauricio shares that he was talking to PK about how Dorit and PK are doing. That's pretty much all that happens there. Then we see Sutton, and because this is all happening at the same time, by the way. So this whole entire first super long scene, it's a whole bunch of mini scenes together, because a lot of it's happening at the same time. So I just kind of want to share that. So while this is happening, Sutton and Garcelle, they leave for the day. And we see, while this is happening, Erika and Crystal, they head out to lunch together. And basically at the lunch, they're just doing a recap. So they're talking about Sutton and how she reacted with Magic Mike and just sharing their thoughts on it, because in this case both Crystal and Erika didn't really see all of it. They only really paid attention or saw the tail end of it because they both were on stage when all of this was happening. So they're just kind of they're a little bit more lost on it when it comes to that than versus Garcelle or Kyle. And so while this is happening, Sutton and Garcelle, they are on they end up going on this ride, and I forgot what it's called, and they even said it multiple times in the episode. It is the boat, where they sing to you. They had it in Venice. In the comments, please put that down, what that is, because I forgot what it's called. But they end up being on this boat because in the middle of one of the hotels in Vegas, and because Garcelle booked it, and she's trying to talk about how she felt what happened this morning, because Garcelle felt a little uneasy towards the beginning of the day, because her and Dorit got into it, all because Garcelle was just sharing how she felt with the ladies, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, just sharing how she feels herself. And we saw in the last episode Dorit flipped it to somehow now Garcelle's the problem. Make it make sense. It doesn't. But so while she's trying to explain all this, and while Sutton's trying to console her, I guess Garcelle did not do enough research to realize that, hello, the guy that's on these boats are supposed to sing to you. So they just start singing in the middle of them trying to have this conversation. And then real quickly they realize, oh yeah, I didn't know singing was involved. And so they kind of just cut the conversation short and wait till it's over with. It was kind of funny, but it was super awkward. It was actually more awkward than funny in my opinion. But I got a little kiki out of it. So it was fun. So while that is happening, we pan over to Kyle and Dorit, and they're getting lunch together. And Dorit is recapping her feelings about Garcelle's conversation herself. Because I think, and maybe it's just me allowing too much grace with Dorit, but to me it seems like Dorit does not realize that she does what she does at times, aka gaslighting people. I don't think she's aware of it at all times. And in this case, she was just sharing that, it hurts her feelings that Garcelle feels this way. But I'm sorry, this is where you kind of need to learn to I get that you feel bad, but how do you flip it when you're the reason why all that happened? And I think we're missing a huge piece of the story and why Garcelle especially feels a certain way about Dorit versus necessarily the others. Kyle apologized. Whether it was genuine or not, that's a whole nother thing. We're not going to go into all that. Erika apologized. Dorit did not apologize. And even though Dorit wasn't directly involved, she was indirectly involved and kind of complacent in the whole situation because her husband was saying some kind of nasty comments. And she, at the bare minimum, should have apologized for her husband. Or have her husband apologize to Garcelle. Or at least just apologizing for not doing more about it. Because she was still there. And she was complacent. Which honestly, if there's grown adults talking about my kid in a very derogatory way and you're just standing there not doing anything, I'm going to feel away too. So Garcelle's very justified in how she feels. Although, yeah, it might hurt to hear that and hear the delivery of how Garcelle delivered it to you, which, by the way, Garcelle actually was pretty light about how she delivered it. In the past, Garcelle's been very blunt. This was not that bad. The way she delivered it was not that harsh at all. I think you need to, it's whether Dorit realizes or not, it's coming off pretty self-absorbed. And hopefully we didn't see the whole entire conversation between Kyle and Dorit, but hopefully Kyle explained that. Because Kyle's reaction was a normal reaction. Same thing with Erika. It was just Dorit that had the weird reaction. Anyway, so they go from that to talking about Kyle and how, she's on this journey now where she's not drinking, she's working out, she has had tattoos. And so we pan over to all the different women in their confessionals. Son's calling it a midlife crisis. Dorit's just kind of I don't know what's going on with this lady. And then Garcelle's I miss the old Kyle. Yeah. But Kyle basically states in her response that, this has always been her. She's just been kind of pleasing others for most of her life. And she's finally at the point where she's trying to find herself. And this, I actually do believe from Kyle. This is probably one of the first seasons so far. This particular episode, I was starting to come back around on Kyle. Because I used to like Kyle when I go back to watching the old episodes. And then I went to not liking her. And now I'm okay, things are turning around. She's turning a corner, if you will. Okay, still in the same scene. By the way, this first scene is super long and takes up most of the episode. I would say about half the episode, so bear with me. Anyway, so while this is happening, Crystal is talking to Erika, asking the questions that the people want to know, actually. So she asks, Erika, hey, do you miss your old life? And Erika's yeah, she misses the lifestyle, but not necessarily Tom. Because apparently her and Tom always fought and they did not have a harmonious relationship. The way they show the flashbacks, and I totally could see that. Just, it's pretty obvious that would be how it would be. The power dynamic was kind of off. Tom definitely had the whole entire power dynamic going on because he had the money, and the people's money, so not just his money, and victims' monies. Not so much alleged anymore because it's kind of been proven. And Erika was basically the sugar the sugar baby, you know? So you have to kind of be okay with that to subscribe to that. And it sounds like, based off of what we know of Erika from this show, we know that she, has a voice. She's very opinionated. She's a powerhouse on her own. So I can see how that would constantly be a thing. So I do believe Erika when she says all that. But Crystal did follow up and ask, like, hey, would you do this all over again? Like, would you go back to it if you had the opportunity to go back to all of it? And Erika says no. I don't believe her. I'm just going to leave it at that. Now when it comes to that, because it's what she says later on will be why I don't believe her. But anyway, later on in the episode. So back to Dorit. Dorit discusses what PK and Mo were talking about with Kyle. Kyle, little by little, every episode seems to share a little bit more of what is causing the separation between her and Mo. And I am believing it now. At first, I wasn't sure if it was all real. I'm starting to believe it, though. Either that or she's a super great actress. But I am believing it right now. Because she does share a lot more. Because with her lifestyle change and Mo being in sales and being in real estate, he's needing to go out all the time, shake people's hands and all that, and go to social events where there's a lot of drinking involved. And Kyle has stopped drinking. Kyle's on this health journey, which is the polar opposite of someone who's in a professional life, because a lot of times your work life and your health life, they don't align. They typically don't, especially in a capitalist society. It just doesn't. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I could see how that would be a struggle. And so that's part of why they're separating. They're literally going in two completely different directions. And she also does share that she was hoping that he would have been there for her more with the issues with her sister. But let me just allow a little bit of pushback. If you and your sisters have had a tumultuous relationship throughout all of your lives, including the amount of time that y'all been married, he might be complacent at it at this point. He doesn't know. He probably, outside looking in, he's probably like, this is just y'all. So I could see how maybe he didn't know what to do, because it has been a pattern, with Kyle and her relationship with her sisters for their whole entire lives. So I'm allowing just a little bit of pushback with that, but I do see how she, with a partner, you would still want the support. And she also shares that she's working on herself while he seems to be working on work. So it's, a completely different, they're going this way. And that's pretty clear. And also she's not happy with how things are going with their marriage right now, and that's pretty clear. Okay. Next scene, we find out as we're getting ready to go out for the evening, Garcelle and Sun went to lunch with Oliver during the day. So they pan over to a scene that was cut. And apparently Oliver, long story less long, Oliver was already separated from his wife when he kissed Raquel from Vanderpump Rules. And as a result, he received a lot of backlash on that. I can't really speak to any of that because I don't watch Vanderpump Rules. Anyway, the girls are in glam, getting ready to go to a honky tonk bar, looking like money, honey. They all have their best cowgirl outfits on. Garcelle's outfit, she cracked me up. It was cute. I wouldn't wear it, but it was cute. I would probably wear something more like what Kyle was wearing. I liked what Kyle was wearing a lot. And I loved what Erika was wearing. Erika was giving Britney Spears, I Love Rock and Roll era. I loved it. That, out of everything, I probably would have wore what Erika was wearing. Side note, as you probably could tell, Erika, I don't know. I want to like her again. And I think I'm starting to like her again. Now that the controversy of her and her ex-husband has passed, I'm seeing And if you can compartmentalize how she was acting, and you take that lady out of the equation because she's no longer on the show, I remember why I like Erika. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. So Garcelle, so before they go to this honky tonk bar, they actually go to a restaurant that had linens that said linen by Kyle Richards. It said towels by Kyle Richards, or the name of the restaurant by Kyle Richards. So I think it might be her restaurant. I'm not quite sure on that. But anyway, Garcelle, when they're ordering drinks, she asks straight up, like, how long are you gonna go with this mocktail thing to Kyle? So kind of making it known what she said in confessional. She's like, what is this? And I felt personally attacked a little bit because this actually kind of happened to me a couple of weeks ago when I went to my run club. This happened to me. So I was, so a lot of my friends that I run with were part of a beer running club. And I'm not drinking at all this month. And honestly, I don't know how long I'm going to go. I'm saying 1 month, but I might go longer. Because I like how I feel when I don't drink. Like, my body feels like better. Like, I feel better. Like, yeah. So, I kind of felt away that she did that. And even like, I feel like Kyle, I see Kyle when it comes to the health journey. I see her. And so I'm not mad at her for that. And yeah, I just like, I don't know. I felt away when Garcelle asked that, but that's a me thing because I'm literally going through a similar thing right now where I'm not drinking. But yeah, I just like, it's just one of those things. Like, I feel like a lot of people associate certain people's personalities with when they're drinking, that they don't know how to have fun without it. And unfortunately, that might be the case for a lot of people. I'm just not one of them. I'm kind of crazy with or without it. Like, if you know me and you've hung out with me when I'm not drinking, I might be a little bit more flirty when I'm drinking, but that's the only thing that's really different. Other than that, I'm pretty kind of out there with or without the drinking. So there's that. Anyway, and I'm pretty sure Kyle's the same way too, but I think at this point she's kind of being more reserved into herself because I think she's still I think she honestly is trying to figure herself out. You got to put yourself in the shoes of someone who's had kids, has a family. When you do all that, you put yourself aside. Myself as a single person, I didn't have to do that as long. I put myself aside because I was a people pleaser for a long while, probably from grade school all the way till probably like college, honestly till like mid-20s, to be fully transparent. But when you're like that, take that into consideration, you're like that, and then you also have a family and kids, so now you actually have a real valid reason to stay that way. You don't get the chance to work on yourself. So I can see why now it just seems weird that Kyle's attitude's a shift, but I don't know. I'm kind of applauding it in a way. We'll see how it goes. I'm not for the rebellious part of it because part of it does come off super like I'm a teenager, but other than that, it's like, girl, yeah, I'm for it. Anyway, so within this scene, it's not too long of a scene, but they do end up playing some games, and they talk about monogamy. So one of the questions was like, is monogamy natural? And Erika talks about not really, because we're mammals, and like even lioness go after like the young up and coming lion that looks like they have something going for themselves. And then Dorit shaves her in the confessional. She's like, you went for the oldest lion ever. aka Erika's ex-husband. And then Kyle shares how she feels about it, and the ladies are listening. And so then after that, then Garcelle asks an additional question, not really on the cards because they were playing a game, to the married ladies. If you find out if infidelity has happened one time, is that one time enough for you to just be done with it? Which, I like the question, actually. And I don't think Garcelle was being shady. I think she actually was doing this to also share herself a little bit more. So it wasn't her being shady. I don't think. But I might be biased. I really don't think that. So Kyle talks about she doesn't know how she feels about it, but then it pans over to all the seasons past where the accusation of Mauricio being unfaithful to Kyle has been a thing. And it's been the talk of the show for most of the seasons. I think since season 2. So it's been a whole thing. And, but no proof. No proof, none of that. So then Garcelle shares what happened in her last marriage. And that's actually what happened, is that her ex-husband was unfaithful. And then when she found out, she sent a mass text to their family and friends stating what happened and exposed him. And that was that on that. I was like, so we know the answer when it comes to Garcelle. She is one and done. She's not putting up with it. And then the last question we have is, and then Dorit says she'll go Lorraine and Bobbitt on her husband, but whatever. And then the last question before they, cut off to the next scene is, at what moment does money no longer make you happier? And with this group, that is the most interesting question ever because they all have some coins. Some have more than others, clearly. Some of them are putting on for the show a little bit more than others, but they all got some coin. Like, I'm definitely a brokey, by all means, next to all these ladies. And Erika shares her thoughts. And it was real. It was really true, real transparent. We were definitely seeing a softer side of Erika this season. This truly is Erika's redemption arc season. It's being a thing. So she basically states, yeah, even though the money doesn't make you happy, but I will say this, money does make it where comfort is, you're comfortable, and comfortable is great. And she's like, now I just feel super uneasy, but I am happy now that at least whatever I rebuilt is my money. It's not someone else's, it's mine. So, and that was probably the realest thing I've heard Erika say, is that she's, stating, we're seeing really now what it's going to take for Erika to rebuild herself, to build herself back up. And now that she's no longer being defensive, we're finally seeing that. And that's actually what I want to see from Erika. So kudos. And then the cast of Michael Jackson, the One showed us in Vegas. This is Circus Olay show. They present Crystal with another birthday cake because it's her birthday weekend. So what do? We celebrated the whole weekend for Crystal. Next, they finally do get to Gilly's, which is the honky tonk bar, and not much happened there. They go to the mechanical bull. Like, they're just looking at the people riding the mechanical bull. Kyle rides the mechanical bull for 20 seconds, and then Sutton rides it for like 40 seconds. And then Erika shades the crap out of Sutton, saying, if this is the same as her D-writing skills, there's no wonder she doesn't get a second date. And I'm sorry, when she said it, I wasn't sure what she was going to say, but the timing and how she said it, I laughed. I did laugh because Sutton looked stiff as all get out on that mechanical bull. And they had the settings for both the ladies, they had it pretty low. But for Kyle, it wasn't low. For Sutton, it was low. Like they had it so like it like I feel like a grandma could got like a grandma could got on that mechanical bull and they would have been able to stay on there for a little bit. And quiet is kept. I'm not gonna say it, but I feel like a lot of people's grandmas could have lasted longer on there than Sutton did. Just saying. Okay, so now it is the next morning. They're leaving Vegas, and we see that as they're leaving, going to the elevator, Mikey is right there. The elevator door opens. Mikey from Magic Mike, Erika's friend, and the other performers from Magic Mike are right there in the elevator. Erika then basically calls out Sutton in front of everybody and has Sutton apologize to them. Sutton but she is so mad. And she does first get a little defensive on Erika because Erika kind of rounded up and said that, yeah, she didn't have that great of a time. She thought the show was, horrible. Well, she didn't use those words. She used them. She said she thought it was shitty. And yeah, so because of that, Sutton got extra mad. She's like, don't put words in my mouth. And as all this is happening, Erika's still staying in confessional. It is still Lent. I'm not arguing for Lent. But she did said God gave her a moment. That elevator just opened. They happened to be there. And I took that moment. And God said, call it out. And so I did that. And Erika, this episode, I'm sorry. I was cracking up. And I was kind of on her side of things. Because even though Sutton didn't actually say those words, her actions said that. I'm sorry. I agree. I'm going to have to agree with Erika on this one. And so they end up in the Sprinter van heading to the, heading back home. I don't know if I'm assuming they flew back. And they're arguing the whole entire time on the way back. Because Sutton shares that she was really upset and she kind of flies off the handle yet again about it. And they're like, but you really were overreacting. You really did put 20 on 10. You were doing too much. And she's still being defensive. And then she's like, I feel like I'm being gay. And then Dorit's like, do you feel like you're in a corner or something? As the way they were seated, Sutton was literally in a corner. I was like, what? So Sutton was right with that, because she literally was in the corner. But then Dorit was just kind of making it worse. And then it went from Sutton feeling attacked to now Garcelle and Dorit are going at it again, because Dorit is kind of saying, because Garcelle kind of got on Dorit. She's like, I kind of wish you would have tried to de-escalate the situation and it not be me all the time. Because now we're starting to slowly see Garcelle is kind of sick of always having to have Sutton's back. Which, I don't want this to break up your friendship, but she's not wrong all the way. But she's not saying that yet, and the next thing we'll get that from her. But she's basically she's like, hey, you could have went after her too, Dorit. And she's like, well, if I would have did that, I would have did this, that, and this, and that. And Garcelle's like, who said none of that happened? And so it goes into now Garcelle and Dorit are arguing, and that pretty much ends the trip. So they were doing so well for most of the trip, other than the sudden of it all, and then this last bit. The rest of the trip was pretty lighthearted and fun. So I did enjoy this cast trip. It was a good cast trip. Okay, so Erika, next day, everyone's back. Everyone's doing their normal life stuff. So they're showing a montage of them doing their normal life stuff. And Erika, Erika gets to the lunch first, and then Garcelle meets up with Erika. And I'm loving this new dynamic between Erika and Garcelle. This was something that would have never happened if that lady would have been still there. And because Garcelle and Erika, if you take away the whole Tom situation, they're kind of two bad bees of the group. Like, they're single. It's like I can see them basically being each other's wingwomans, going out. Like, if you were to compartmentalize and take everything that happened the past couple seasons and that lady basically kind of being a callus of all of it, I could see how they would be good friends. Like, it makes sense. Like, aesthetically, it even makes sense, to be honest. Like, they look cute together as besties. I'm not saying that they're besties, but I like that they're building on something finally. And I don't think that would have happened if that lady was still here. But anyway, so Garcelle shares with Erika how she feels about Dorit's reaction to like what she said. And Erika's listening and like seems like they really are building something. She's like, I understand why you would feel that way. Like, because Dorit is long-winded and she talks a lot, but it's pretty clear she doesn't listen. And Erika was like, you just have to learn how to talk to Dorit. She's like, after all the years I've dealt with her, I've learned to talk to Dorit. And for those who don't know, Dorit and Erika used to not get along at all. First season, they were at odds. And now they're cool. Like, they're not besties, but they're cool. Like, and so this is a good person for really Garcelle to talk to about it. Kyle's a little too messy and a little too close to Dorit to talk to her about it, so this actually makes sense. And then Erika shares with Garcelle how she felt about Sun's actions, but then Garcelle agrees completely with Erika, and she actually applauds Erika for not flying off the handle because she was expecting that from Erika. She's like, no, I wasn't going to do that. I'm at a point where I'm really trying to work on myself and really trying to move forward with things. And I can kind of see it. I don't think she's lying all the way, but that empathy thing, that's the only thing that makes me side-eye Erika. And then the other thing is, I think I skipped through this a little bit. I stated before, I did not believe Erika when she was talking to Crystal earlier about her leaving the situation with Tom when pertaining to the lifestyle and like walking away from it. Erika's talk, which when they had the question about money, that's why I did not quite believe Erika all the way. I think now she is starting to see the other side of it, but I think it's an evolved thing. She did clean it up to make it sound like and make it seem like that she's happier in this space because she has more freedom. And maybe that is true for her. Maybe freedom is more important than the money. For me, it would be. And I've never been in like a overly rich scale dating someone and knew that that's what it was. Because I have dated someone who was doing all right, but like that wasn't the reason why I was dating them. But I was in a long-term relationship with someone who made substantially way more money than me. And I felt like I had no freedom with that. Because I felt like I had to suppress a lot of myself in that. And so I could see what Erika means by that. Maybe that's why I love Real Housewives shows a lot more, because I am now starting to understand like the nuances or like all that kind of thing, and seeing that not quite on the scale of like the Real Housewives, but enough where I'm like, it's life changing, you know. I get it. And For those who've watched the first 2 episodes, y'all have already kind of heard a little bit of my story, what pertains to like how I can relate to Sutton a little bit. Anyway, so Garcelle also does share the close of scene that she thinks she does need to let Sutton fight her own battles because, yeah, Sutton was doing too much. Plain and simple. Lastly, we see that Kyle, this is the final scene, we see Kyle meeting up with Sutton at her house. Sutton does state in her confessional that this is when she has a revelation about Kyle on the Vegas trip. That Kyle's not a real friend to her. And Kyle is an instigator, all this other stuff. Which is kind of wild because we've been saying that to you, Sutton, for like 3 seasons. I'm glad you finally understand this. But the thing is, the fans, everyone has been saying this to Sutton for a very long time. That Kyle is really not your friend. She's not. She's an acquaintance and maybe a coworker, but she ain't your friend. We've been trying to say that to her for it seems like a while now, but she's finally getting it. So with that in mind, Sutton's energy when it comes to like Kyle being there is not what we would expect from Sutton, because it used to not be this way. She used to be a little bit more reserved, humbled, and not ready. So she's basically on the defense already with Kyle being there, because it kind of came off as if Kyle wasn't expecting to show up. So I was a little confused by it. But anyway, it ends with Kyle and Sutton just arguing back and forth because Sutton, 3 days before everything went left, with Sutton doing the most, she did talk to Kyle stating that she would love for her to be there for her more and not throw her under the bus as much. And it happened. Kyle wasn't there for her and threw her under the buses this time. But Sutton is not realizing at this time it was actually kind of warranted because you were doing too much. That's the part that I think is lost in all this. Sutton is not realizing that she really was at fault this time around, because you have the other extreme of Garcelle not really checking her as much as she probably should. And I think the way the interactions are is kind of the ghosts of seasons past happening. Because in seasons past, this dynamic of Kyle attacking was true. Kyle really was attacking in previous seasons. And Garcelle, in her defense, that was necessary because it was literally her and Sutton against everyone else. So we're seeing the fallout of what happens now, where there's no longer that person that causes all this chaos, but there's actual real reason for there to be an issue, but you're still reacting as if there isn't a real reason for there to be an issue. It's fascinating. But the episode does end at to be continued. But anyway, that does conclude the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And the reason why it's called Hellevator is because they ran into the guys from Magic Mike on the elevator. And that's when all hell broke loose after that. But yeah, I did enjoy the episode. It was very lighthearted. I'm liking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills so far. It's not too dark. It's very lighthearted, very fun, very ambiance-ish. The arguments are pretty petty. They're not serious. Most of it can be resolved, I think. I need to read to learn to, listen. And hopefully that will resolve things. Because also, I forgot to share, Erika did share with Garcelle, like, it's repairable. She thinks that they can finally get to a place of understanding. And it's pretty clear. It's not, none of the arguments so far with this season is too serious. So that's nice. But anyway, Please like and comment and subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.